What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's talk about Monday Night Football from two nights ago. Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Miami Dolphins 28-15. This game was 21-3 going into the fourth quarter. Dolphins' troubles in the cold weather continue. They have lost 14 straight games in that were below 40 degrees. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 27, 224, and two touchdowns. Numbers from Tua don't look horrible. 22 of 28 for 253 yards, two touchdowns and an interception. But if you watch the game, he was not good. And this led to him being benched. Yes, the $212 million man, Tua, has been benched. Quinn Ewers will start in Week 16 this coming Sunday. That's going to be a wrap for Tua. Look, when he came out, he had a lot of potential. I saw a great career at Alabama, but just too many injuries. He's very limited physically. Injuries have taken a toll. He's no longer the player that he was a few years ago when he was actually a relatively decent quarterback. Even though he's still 27 years old, I don't really see what he has left. I don't see him as much of a leader either. It will be a $99 million dead cap hit if they cut him before June 1st, which will be an NFL record, but I think they have to do it. They made their bed. They have to sleep in it. The new GM is coming in. A new coach should be coming in. No chance Mike McDaniel should survive this. But Quinn Ewers will start in Week 16. Just what a disaster the Miami Dolphins have become. Like we talk about how the Browns, it's insanely bad cap problem with Deshaun Watson. They're paying Miles Garrett that money, and he's worth every penny. He's the best defensive player in the league, but what's the point if you're going to win four games every? You don't have an NFL caliber quarterback on your roster. They're screwed. Miami is right there with them. Okay, Tua's had a terrible year. He's 30th in QBR this year. He's just been terrible. It's definitely time for both sides to move on. But moving forward, let's talk a little hockey very briefly here. Buffalo Sabres make a change at the general manager position. Kevin Adams is fired after 5 seasons. Jarmo Kekalainen is the new GM. He's got a pretty decent resume. Played briefly in the NHL. They took a GM job for a Finnish team in the late 90s. He eventually joined Ottawa as a director of player personnel from 1999 to 2002. He was part of a front office that drafted Marian Hossa, Martin Havla, and Ray Emery, who were three really good players. Marian Hossa is a borderline Hall of Famer, one of the greatest Ottawa Senators players of all time. Eventually became the assistant GM of St. Louis with the Blues in 2002 and director of amateur scouting. He drafted a lot of that team's core they had in the early 2010s, including Alex Pietrangelo, TJ Oshie, Patrick Berglund, David Perrella, and David Backes. When they made a GM change, they interviewed him for it. Ended up going with Doug Armstrong. He ended up leaving to go back to Finland, to a different team in Finland, became a GM there, and then eventually would become the general manager in Columbus. The president of hockey operations at the time for Columbus was John Davidson. They worked together in St. Louis. They were in a front office together in St. Louis. JD brought him in to be the GM there. And he was there for a while. He was there for about 11 years. Last year was let go by Columbus. Buffalo brought him in prior to the season to be a senior advisor, and now he has been promoted to general manager. So look, he's got a pretty good resume. He didn't accomplish a whole lot in Columbus, but he's got experience as a GM. Look, Buffalo Sabres of a New York trip to the NFL just cursed. They haven't made the playoffs in like 15 years. They've been rebuilding, since the end of the Ryan Miller days. The former All-Star goalie. He's the new general manager in Buffalo. For agency, a couple of moves. Again, they were relatively smaller, but a couple were somewhat impactful. Still, a lot of the big guys still remain. San Francisco Giants make two moves to add to their pitching staff. Sign Adrian Hauser, 2 years, $22 million. Hauser last year overall was just okay. 3.31 ERA in 21 starts last year. Was great with the White Sox in the beginning of the year. Had 2.1 ERA in 11 starts, but then 10 starts with the Rays. He had a 4.79. Year to year, he's been inconsistent. Like his first full season was with 2019 in Milwaukee. 3.72 ERA as a swingman, 35 games and 18 starts. He showed up in the pandemic year, but 26 starts in 2021 with them. Had 3.22 ERA, 142 in the third. In the following year, he had a 4.73 ERA in 21 starts with Milwaukee in 22 and 23, a 4.12 in 21 starts. Was dreadful with the Mets 2 years ago. 23 games, only 7 starts, ERA close to 6. Last year, a little bit better. Going to be 33, but he's nothing else. He's should be a solid fifth star that can eat some innings and could pitch out of the bullpen as a long man. They also had Jason Foley on a 1 year deal. Foley did not pitch last year, was injured, but had a 3.16 ERA in his first uh, 3 full seasons in the bigs. He was the closer for the Tigers 2 seasons ago. Had a 3.15 ERA in 69 games with 28 saves over 60 innings. So last time he was out there, he was a very good late inning reliever for the Detroit Tigers. And he could close if the Giants need him to. You already have Ryan Walker there, but I think that's a good pickup. A guy who could be a bounce back candidate coming off an injury for the San Francisco Giants. And 2 more relief pitcher signings. The Mets signed Luke Weaver, 2 years, $22 million. I think it's a fine sign for the Mets. He has overall been very good for the Yankees the last 2 years. 2024 was great, 62 games, had 2.89 ERA, had 4 saves through 84 innings for the Yankees. And then last year, 3.62 ERA in 64 games, 8 saves. Was closing for them early on in the year for Devin Williams faltered. Of course, he's now also with the Mets. Then he got hurt. When he came back from the injury, wasn't the same. Was very bad in the postseason, but he's been a solid reliever the last 2 seasons. The Mets add him on a two-year deal. And then this is probably the biggest one. The Phillies signed Brad Keller, 2 years, $22 million. So 3 signed. They're all the same contract, which is funny. That's a good move for the Phillies. Keller, similar to Weaver, was a guy came up a starting pitcher. He came up in Kansas City for a while. I think he was in Cincinnati for a year. Just never could figure it out as a starter. Cubs brought him in, put him in the bullpen. He ended up doing a really good job last year. Pitched great. Ended up closing for them a little bit. He goes to Philadelphia, where he'll most likely be the top setup man behind All-Star closer Jerome Duran, who, of course, Phillies brought in at the trade deadline last season. College football playoff. The first round games are this weekend. Going to give you my predictions of what happens in that first round of the college football playoff. The first round is Friday and Saturday. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day is when the quarterfinals will be. The semis will be January 8th and 9th, and then January 19th is a Monday, is when the national championship will be. So we got on Friday, the one game we have is number 9 Alabama against number 8 Oklahoma on ABC or ESPN. The winner of this game will play Indiana in the Rose Bowl. This is a tough one. Alabama's only favored by 1.5. They played earlier on this season. Oklahoma won that game. That was definitely a statement win for Oklahoma. And so it put them into the top 10 and really cemented their spot as a potential playoff team. Of course, they ended up being the 8th seed in the top 12. And that's probably a game that made you think, maybe Alabama isn't a true contender. Of course, they end up getting in slightly controversially. I'm going to take Oklahoma. I won't say I want to take Alabama, but I was very tempted to. It's tough to beat a team twice in a row in college football. And Oklahoma, they're not a contender by any means. They can't score whatsoever. Their offense is horrible. John Mateer has not played well since coming off that thumb injury. But their defense is absolutely elite. Alabama's just a soft team. I don't trust Ty Simpson. I think in a low-scoring game, Oklahoma will pull it out. Now on Saturday, the first game at noon, number 10 Miami against number 7 Texas A&M. The winner will play Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Eve. I'm going to take Texas A&M. Miami they're not bad, but they couldn't even get to the ACC championship game. Carson Beck is not good whatsoever. They finished the season pretty well, and A&M, I think they're a bit fraudulent. They beat up on a lot of bad teams in the SEC, and then beat the one good team they played in the SEC, Texas. You lost to on conference championship weekend, but I think A&M wins this game. I like Marcel Reed. I don't think he's NFL ready quite yet, but I think he's a good quarterback. He's a good athlete. I think A&M picks up the win against Miami. At 3:30, it will be number 6 Ole Miss against Tulane. I'm going to take Ole Miss. The favorite 17.5. Obviously, Pete Golden, their D coordinator, just got promoted to head coach like that after Lane Kiffin dipped. We all know what happened there. And look, I respect Tulane. They had a really good year. They went 11-1. They won the American Conference. John Sermo, of course, is finishing what he started. You know he's going to be going to Florida when the season ends. Kudos to him. A lot of respect for that guy. Obviously, going to be on TNT as well as True TV. I'm going to take Ole Miss. Obviously, Lane Kiffin stuff sucks. And I think that keeps them from being a true contender. I'm not sure what Pete Golding is going to bring to the table, but I think they'll definitely beat Tulane by at least 2 touchdowns. And then the final game on Saturday the 20th, number 5 Oregon against number 12 JMU. I have Oregon winning. I think they're going to cover the 21.5 points. Oregon's a really good team. Dante Moore, not my favorite quarterback, but he is very good in college. That team is electric offensively. JMU, obviously, there's kind of lucky to even be there. Oregon should absolutely run through James Madison. Again, kudos to Bob Chesney. He took a head coach job for Power 5 school at UCLA, but he's finishing what he started at JMU. But I expect Oregon to win without much of an issue. Before we get to NFL game picks, I want to finally thank the Washington Commanders for benching, not benching, but shutting down Jaden Daniels. Thank God. Why was he even out there a couple of weeks ago? That was so stupid. A fireable offense. Thank God he's finally been shut down with all the injuries he's dealt this year. Thank goodness. But let's get started with NFL game picks. Thursday Night Football this week. Rams and Seahawks, huge game. I think these are the 2 best teams in football, in my opinion. 11-3, both are 11-3. Of course, atop the NFC West. Rams beat them earlier this year. So the Rams right now are the 1 seed in the NFC. Seattle is the first wild card. This is a tough game to pick. Seattle is at home in this one. And I'm going to take them, actually, in this game. Rams are obviously an elite team. Right now the best team in football. Matthew Stafford, I think, is the MVP of the league. Over 3,700 yards, 37 touchdowns against 5 picks. But Seattle's at home. That's a tough place to play. It looks like Devontae Adams is not going to play in this game. He's a big part of what the Rams do offensively. Obviously, Puka Nacua is incredible. They can run the football. Matthew Stafford, I think, is a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. But I think Seattle will. I don't see them getting swept by the Rams. These are 2 elite teams. I think Seattle will win this game, and that will give them sole possession of first place NFC West and the 1 seed in the NFC. So I think Seattle picks up a big win at home. Saturday we have 2 games, which just is stupid, but 5 o'clock on Saturday. Yes, 5 o'clock. Eagles and Commanders. Give me Philadelphia. No, they haven't been playing well. You had a kind of a get-me-right game against the god-awful Raiders last week. The Commanders are also a terrible team. They're 4-10. Depleted by injuries. You're going to have Marcus Mariota out there. Give me the Eagles to win that game. And 8:20, another huge game. On Saturday Night Football. Both these games are on Fox. Packers-Bears. So Packers won a couple of weeks ago at Lambeau Field. But with their loss to Denver and the Bears win over the Browns, Bears once again have sole position of first place in NFC North. Can really get a firm grasp of it heading into the final 2 weeks of the season. If a win here, Packers have a chance to retake a lead for now if they win this game. Yeah, I think Green Bay is going to do it. I'm not sold on the Chicago Bears. I know Green Bay has injuries. You lose Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players on the football for the season. That's a huge loss for the Green Bay Packers. They're going to be on the road at Soldier Field, but the Packers simply own the Bears. I don't really see that changing as long as Caleb Williams is the quarterback. I do not trust him. I'm going to take the Packers to win on the road and retake sole possession of first place in the NFC North. The Sunday slate, Bills-Browns, Bills by a lot. I think they cover the -10. The Browns are utterly awful. The Bills are not very good defensively, but it's Shedeur Sanders, guys. It's Shedeur Sanders. Higher scoring game. Bills just overpower the Browns in this one. But keep an eye out for Myles Garrett. He only needs a couple of sacks to break the all-time sack record. He's having an incredible year. Chargers and Cowboys. This should be a pretty decent game. Chargers coming at 10-4. Not completely out of the AFC West. They're one of the wild cards right now in the AFC. Cowboys 6-7-1, literally hanging by a thread in the playoff race in the NFC. I believe Philly clinches the division if they win on Saturday over Washington, which is most likely going to happen. I'm going to take the Chargers. I know they have a ton of injuries, but that's still a good defense. I'm not sure if Javonte Williams is going to play. If so, Dallas' running game is going to be affected a lot. George Pickett these last couple of weeks has not been as electric as he was earlier in the season. Cowboys can't stop anybody. Chargers have an actual running game now with Marion Hampton healthy. I think the Chargers will pick up a win in Dallas. Chiefs-Titans. When you originally saw some of the schedule, you were thinking, oh god, Chiefs are going to win 30-8 or something like that. And they probably still will. I'm going to take them, but this is going to be an ugly game. No Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs have nothing to play for now because they're out of the playoffs. It's going to be Gardner Minshew starting. This is a game I could see Tennessee winning. I'm not going to pick them, but I could see them winning. Chiefs have been very bad on the road this year. Gardner Minshew is starting. The team is just gutted with being eliminated from the playoffs and Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL. However, the Titans don't have a home win all year. They're probably just like, who cares? The coach is already fired. They are going to have the third pick in the draft. I think the Chiefs will sneak away with a win. Bengals and Dolphins. I'm going to take Cincinnati. Quinn Ewers is starting. I'm not going to lie, I didn't hate his college tape coming out of Texas. Wasn't great last year. Was very good the year before at Texas. Was there for a while. Obviously was at Ohio State to start that. But Miami, and the Bengals can't stop anybody. But Miami's a complete mess. I think everybody in that building knows what's coming. That's gotta be a little sad. And the Bengals, they have nothing to play for. They're already eliminated from the playoffs for the second year in a row. Year 4-10. It's been a brutal season for them. They should be getting a new coach next year and hopefully a new general manager as well. But I'll take the Bengals to win. Trust Joe Burrow a lot more than Quinn Ewers in his first ever start. Jets and Saints. I don't know who scheduled this game. They need to be drug tested immediately. I'm going to take the Saints. Part of me kind of wants just to lose. I would like them to try and see if they can draft this quarterback, Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, and see if maybe they could actually build something for once. Probably not going to happen, but a man can dream. The Saints have actually not been playing terrible. Tyler Shuck has not looked horrible. He's overall looked serviceable. Saints defense has played well these last couple of weeks. The Jets probably are going to be starting Brady Cook, who's utterly awful. He's got nobody to throw to. Their defense is a train wreck. They're horribly coached. They just fired the defensive coordinator in a sloppy, low-scoring game since they went like 19-12 or something like that. Something disgusting like that. Vikings, Giants. I'm going to take the Vikings. Giants are so bad. I like Jackson Dart, but kid's got to learn to slide. He's going up against a tough defense. I think it's a tough matchup for him and the New York Giants. We're going to have a number one pick from the draft. Vikings. J.J. McCarthy has played well these last 2 weeks. I think that continues against a weak Giants defense. Vikings win their third game in a row. Let's try and see if they can maybe pull off some sort of miracles and be competitive down the stretch here. Buccaneers and Panthers. Both teams 7-7, tied the NFC South, but Bucs beat them earlier in the season, so they are considered in first place in the NFC. Actually, no, never mind. I stand correct. They did not put up Panthers earlier in the year. So now, this game, whoever has sole position in the first place in the South, but not going to clinch it necessarily. But I'm going to take Carolina. I don't hate the way they're playing. That was a brutal way to lose against the Saints last week. To take that 15-yard penalty on the late hit on Shuck to hand them the game-winning field goal. The drive before that, you give a touchdown. You're up 17-10 with less than 3 minutes to go in that game, and you give up 10 unanswered in the last few minutes. But Tampa's playing really bad. Baker Mayfield has been struggling. They're getting a little bit heavier. Mike Evans is back, but they're not very good defensively. They have injuries on the offensive line. And Todd Bowles is a horrible head coach. Carolina has looked a little bit unprepared in some of these big games. The primetime game against the Niners, the way he lost last week against New Orleans. But I'm going to take Carolina. They've overall been a good team at home this year, and they can run the football. They have a really good defense. I think Carolina will pull off a bit of a mini upset in Tampa. Excuse me, at home. And will have sole position in the first place heading into the final 2 weeks of the season. 405 slide. We got Jaguars Broncos. Should be a very good game. I'm going to take Denver. Look, they're rolling. They've been unbeatable at home. Are 7-0. It's a tough place to play. I think Trevor Lawrence will have a lot of trouble with that Denver defense, and Broncos continue to stockpile wins, and their chances at being the 1 seed in the AFC become even more likely by the day, and there's a good chance they'll push the division as well. Falcons Cardinals, just another just god awful who cares game. I'll take the Falcons. Somewhat confidence building win last week. To come back and beat Tampa. I mean, they got nothing to flip for. They're 5-9. They should be having a new regime, at least a new coach next year. No first round back. They got nothing to lose. I think Kirk Cousins goes in there and makes some more plays. And they will beat the Arrows and the Cardinals with just one home win all season. 425, Steelers-Lions. Should be a good game. Very important game. Steelers are now 8-6. A game ahead of Baltimore in the AFC North. Detroit is 8-6. They are right now 2 games out of a playoff spot and the NFC North. Have another game against Chicago coming up. You will play the Bears, so that's something to look out for as well. But I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. They are at home. I know their interior of the offensive line isn't very good. They're not very good defensively, but they can score a hell of a lot of points. I think they'll definitely outscore the Steelers in this one. 425, Texans Raiders. Give me Houston. Just, the line's 14.5. That's a lot of points, but the Raiders are such a joke. I think they're the worst team in the NFL. Whether Geno Smith or Kenny Pickett, who cares? Both of them, I don't think should be in the league anymore. Geno Smith just never should have been drafted in Kenny Pickett's case. They're having trouble running the ball because of how awful their offensive line is. They can't stop anybody. Pete Carroll is just one of the worst fits you've ever seen. Tackles are playing some great football, best defense in the NFL. They should cruise at home in this one. Sunday Night Football, Patriots and Ravens. Should be a really good game. I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. I don't want to. You blow a big game against the Bills. But they've been really good all year. They're 11-3. They're in first place with a 2 seed in the AFC. Baltimore's not playing well. Lamar Jackson has not looked good since coming off of the injury. Defense has played better, but I think the Patriots will overpower the Ravens in this one. And Monday Night Football, 49ers and Colts. I'm taking the Niners. Just Philip Rivers is a great story. They've been really good at home, but they're just collapsing. The guy's 44. He's out of shape. He hasn't played in 5 years. The guy's a grandpa for crying out loud. Got like 12 kids. I don't know what you expect. Niners defense isn't great. They can't really rush the passer. So this should be another close game, but the Niners, I think, will win this game. Just again, Old Man River, I just don't think has enough left in the tank. All right, Raw recap from Monday. So it started out with Gunther coming out to a lot of boos, and he said, I made John Cena tap out, called him a bitch. Obviously, the camera follows him backstage where, a couple people were giving him dirty looks. He kind of just laughed at them. Then Adam Pearce met with him. He's like, "Oh, are you proud of this?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." He says, "You're done for the night. Leave." As he was leaving, he went face to face with AJ Styles. Then got in his car to the UK team and drove away. This was an incredible segment. Look, I am at the end of the Cena match, but they have to make it mean something. Okay, Gunther needs to be turned to his absolute supervillain, super ultra heel. That's what has to happen. In fact, if you're keeping the title on Cody Rhodes going into Mania, Gunther should take it off of him, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest. But this was a really good segment. I think was the right move. He got a lot of heat, which he should have. Wasn't quite like the heat that Roman Reigns got when he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania years ago. I was hoping for that, but it was still a lot of heat that he got. Usos against the New Day. Great match, tag team match. The Usos pick up the win. This was a really good match. These two teams obviously go back a while. They have just incredible chemistry. Joe Test set in the air 44 times they've had matches. Uh, that they've had matches. But can get Grayson Waller away from the New Day. He's not bad with them, but just he's such a good talent. He could be an excellent mid-carder. He's a great heel on the way. He's still with them. Women's Intercontinental Championship, Maxine Dupree against Ivy Nile. Maxine Dupree retains with the ankle lock. The match is just okay. I like Maxine Dupree. I think she's getting a lot better in the ring. But just the match was just kind of eh. It wasn't great. Ivy Nile, this is what happens when you don't get reps. Like I don't think she's just awful wrestler. I think she's actually got a good amount of talent. But when was the last time we saw her on television? Like you got to give her reps, at least in some dark matches or on NXT or something. You got to do something with her. Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez for the women's world title. No contest. Nikki Bella interferes and hits a move on Stephanie Vaquer, so it appears that Vaquer and Nikki Bella's story is not quite done. Of course, Liv Morgan clearly seems a little bit uneasy about Raquel going ahead and getting a title shot. So we'll see where that goes. Then the main event segment was Rey Mysterio against Logan Paul. Overall, good match. The Mystery Man helps out Logan Paul. Well, first the Division was coming out, the Bronze, and CM Punk flipped him off. Remember backstage before the match, he told Ray, "I got you tonight." But the Mystery Man interferes with the referee distracted, leads to Logan Paul picking up the win, and the Mystery Man then gets chased away, and he reveals himself as Austin Theory. Austin Theory is the Mystery Man. Look, I think it would have been epic if it was like a bigger name, like a Randy Orton, or Sami Zayn. But Austin Theory, I think he deserves a legit, real push. He looked really, really awesome with the shaved head. People were saying he looked like Justin Timberlake, which is pretty funny. But I am interested to see what he looks like with a legit, real push. So that was Monday Night Raw. Let's talk NXT from last night. So, started off a bit messy. North American Women's Championship. Thea Hale against Blake Monroe. Thea Hale picks up the win. The bell doesn't ring right away. They play the wrong music, so complete mess up on NXT's production part. But was a decent match. And Thea Hale is now the North American champion. She had a backstage interview with Jordan Grace, going up to her. And then Blake Monroe was yelling at her, and Jordan Grace let her have her moment. And then Blake Monroe walked away crying. So I assume Blake Monroe will have another match with Thea Hale. We had Ethan Page come out, the NXT North American champion on the men's side, and saying like, he was crying about Tony D'Angelo. And then Moose from NXT came out and challenged him to a match. So they're going to have a match at New Year's Evil. And then backstage, of course, him and Chelsea Green. We're not happy that Ava Ray is making Chelsea Green fight Soruka for the women's U.S. title. That's going to be an awesome match. Hopefully they put the title on Soruka. Hank and Tank in a tag match against OTM. Hank and Tank picks up the win. Overall, very good match. Two very good tag teams. Kendall Gray and Renshi Flair in the women's tag match pick up the win over Fatal Influence ahead of JC Jane's NXT title defense against Kendall Gray next week. And then the main event was a Fatal 4-Way NXT Championship number one contenders match between Leon Slater, Miles Bourne, Dion Lennox from Dark State, who I learned actually played football at Oregon State and played in the NFL, which I did not know. And Joe Hendry. Leon Slater picks up the win. He will face Oba Femi next week for the NXT title. I was hoping they would give Joe Hendry a shot, but happy for Leon Slater. Obviously, he's in TNA. He's great. I'm very happy for him. And then I'll see Oba Femi comes out when face-to-face with Leon Slater. And if you saw in the back corner, Tony D'Angelo is looking over. On his return, remember he went after Javon Evans. Right after he won the number one contenders match before he lost to Oba Femi a couple weeks ago. He took on Ethan Page 2 weeks ago. So we'll see where that story leads. I'm very excited to see where that leads. But that's all I got for you guys today. Till next time, so long, and have a great day.